questions, but I'm going to take the first couple of questions. First is you want to get rid of Obamacare, right?
I do.
Okay.
We will. We'll
All right.
repeal it. We'll replace it with something so much less expensive and so much better. It doesn't get worse.
All right, so tell me what, if you are, let's say a woman had cancer 20 years ago in her early 20s, she's now early 40s, has 2 children, single, and there's no more Obamacare, she's got breast cancer back again. Under Trump care, what will it look like?
Well, we'll take care of her. And you know, we have so many options. Well, let me explain something. We have so many options. We're getting rid of the lines between the states. We're going to have competition among all of these insurance companies that want to compete, although actually they also like the monopoly. Right now, they mostly have monopolies in states. But we have, whether it's healthcare, I mean, if you look at the healthcare savings accounts, if you look at, there's probably 9 different options. The worst option is Obamacare. And I don't know if you know, and I can tell you the audience understands, 35, 45, 55% increase this year in the premiums. The deductibles are so high, so outrageous, that unless you're just about ready to go, you're never going to be able to use it. I mean, you're not going to be able to use it. Obamacare is a catastrophe. So we're going to take care of people. We're going to take care of people just like you said. We're going to have great health care for much less money.
Are you saying it's much less money because of competition? I mean, what drives down the cost? Because medical costs are going up.
Well, it's competition. Plus, in Obamacare, you get things that you'll never use. You know, you'll get things that you won't use, but you're paying for them, whereas what we want, you can tailor make it. Now, you can have a lot of options. This way, you're going to have a lot of options. The insurance companies like the way it is. They're making a fortune because one will have New York and one will have the. You're going to have competition around. They're probably going to fight it. They've been fighting it. You know, when they approved Obamacare, they almost got, I call them the boundary lines around each state. They almost got rid of the boundary lines, but it didn't happen. I said, it's going to be unbelievable if they do it. And at the last moment, the insurance, look, the different companies, whether it's insurance or electric or lumber or what, they totally control the politicians. I'm a self-funder. I'm self-funding. I'm going to do what's right for the people. I'm the only one for years. I think probably since Ross Perot. I think I'm the only one since maybe Ross Perot. It's been, you know, many, many years. But I'm self-funding. So I'm going to do the right thing.
Will it be universal health care? Everybody will have health care?
It's going to be, whoever wants it is going to have it.
But you're
whoever wants it.
But I mean, like, it's a money problem. I mean, it's like, you know, people can't afford it.
You know what I said? And I took a lot of heat from the Republicans. I said, nobody's going to be dying on the street if I'm president. Nobody's dying on the street. And the Republicans said, oh, that's terrible. Because, like, you know, every time I speak, and I say that to big audiences, they're Republicans mostly, although we're going to have a lot of Democrat turnovers. We're going to have a lot of crossovers from Democrats because we have a very, very big election coming up right here in Wisconsin. But every time I said we're not going to allow people that have no money to die on the streets, I get standing ovations from Republicans. And some of the so-called conservative geniuses, you know, the people that write the different letters where they make money, or the magazines, they say, oh, that's terrible, we should. I'll tell you what. People don't want to see that. We're going to have unbelievable health care. When people can't afford it, we're going to help them out, whether it's through Medicare or whatever. We're going to help them out. Got to.
Today on George Stephanopoulos this week, GOP Chairman Reince Priebus said to George that tone and tenor matters in this election. You've got a lot of criticism for your tone and tenor. Is it going to change, or do you have no objection to it?
I mean, I agree with him 100%. Tone does matter. I get criticized by Jeb Bush. I was criticized the tone. I don't like his tone. In the meantime, he's gone. I get criticized by... And I said, my tone's going to change as soon as I finish the victory. I mean, I have 2 left. We had 17, now we have 2 left. And I'm leading by a lot. I'm leading by millions of votes. You know, people don't talk about it. They say I'm leading by almost 300 delegates. But I'm leading Cruz, who would be a terrible candidate, by the way. You talk about health care and other things. He would be a terrible candidate. I'm leading by hundreds of delegates, almost 300 delegates. But I'm leading by millions of votes, which nobody ever talks about. And yes, tone to me matters. Being presidential matters. My wife.
What does that mean?
Well, let me tell you. My wife said, please be more presidential. In other words, don't be so aggressive. And in a way, we want an aggressive president. No, we sort of want it, but that's okay. And my daughter said, the last debate, she said, Ivanka, just had a baby, by the way, I'm very proud of that. That's sort of why I'm doing this. People say, why are you doing this? Sort of maybe the reason we're doing it. It's Make America Great Again. But Ivanka said, dead on the final debate. Be very presidential. I've done great in the debates. I've won, according to Drudge and everybody else, I've won all of the debates, every single one of them. Be presidential. I said, look, if somebody hits me, I have to hit him back. I have to. I'm not going to stand there and be like, oh, I'm wonderful, I'm a president. I want to win, and I'll be so presidential you won't believe it. I will be the most boring.
What does that mean to be presidential?
Well, it means maybe not be so aggressive, maybe not get so personal. But when people get personal with me, I mean, they say, oh, they don't like my hair, okay? Now, if I ever said I didn't like their hair, it would be a headline. He's so, but they're allowed to say whatever they want about me. Look, we started out with people hitting, and my hair's not that bad, is it? Does my hair? It's not that bad. I mean, and it is my hair. But you know what happens? What happens is they hit me, and I hit them back harder. And usually, I mean, almost in all cases, they do it first. But they hit me, and I hit them back harder, and they disappear. And that's what we want to lead the country. But I promise you, let me finish it off. I will be so presidential. Greta, you will be so proud of me. You know, I'm a smart guy. Being presidential is easy, but you may get very bored.
Right.
She won't want to interview me anymore.
All right. What does that mean? You're going to stop tweeting?
Well, I don't think so. No, I'll tell you what. Look, this is a modern form. It's like owning my own newspaper. You know, I have now Twitter, 7.5 million people, picking up hundreds of thousands of people in a short period of time. 7.5 with Facebook, I have like close to 7 million or more than 7 million people. With Instagram, we have like 2 million. So I have like 16, 17 million people. That's like owning the New York Times without the losses. Why should I give it up? Why should I give it up, right?
Even as president. As president.
As president, I would take it differently. Yeah, I would agree with that. No, as president, I think I'd be very much different on that. I wouldn't be doing it much. Now, Obama does it a little bit, but and not that I want to use him as an example. That's some example. But as president, I would probably not be doing it. Maybe not be doing it at all. But I have millions and millions of people. They rely on it. They love it. And I think it's one of the reasons, frankly, I'm doing so well. You know, you understand, when you introduced me, you said candidate, but I'm really by far the front runner, okay, by far. She didn't say that. I was surprised. I was going to say, let's do that introduction again, but I didn't want to do that. But the truth is, I think some of it is because of social media.
Abortion.
Yeah.
1999, to Tim Russert, you were very pro-choice with your words, although he said he didn't like it. And
well, that's true. That's a very important thing.
No, I
said I'm very pro-choice, but really, just before that, they never play that.
I said it. I read it.
Pained.
I said it.
I was pained, but when they show it, because if they would go like 10 seconds before, I was pained when I said it. I was like, oh, I really don't like it. Then I said very polite, but I am pro-life.
Okay, so 2015, you made the public announcement that you're pro-life.
And I said why.
And then this last week, it's been all over the map. At one point, you said that you would punish someone.
Well, it wasn't all over the map.
Well, okay, all right, then correct it for me. Tell me what you're thinking.
Look, I'm pro-life. Ronald Reagan was pro-life, with the exceptions, okay? Life of the mother, as you know, rape, incest. So with the 3 exceptions. That was Ronald Reagan, and that's been me. And it's been me for quite a period of time. Then when they ask questions about, different things, or they ask theoretical questions in theory, if you did this, and if you did that, and if you did that. And interestingly, the question that was asked to me, I've had so many, you talk about Twitter, so many people on Twitter, and so many, Robert Jeffress, who is a fantastic guy, who's on your show, Pastor Jeffress. He was saying, what an answer. That was a good answer. So many people said good answer, but I wanted to, frankly, look, nobody's going to do more for women than me. Nobody respects women more than me. And I took that answer, and I didn't like it because I think a lot of people didn't understand it. Women go through a lot. They go through a tremendous punishment of themselves. And I didn't like, because I wasn't sure if people would understand it. So I clarified it. But it was just a clarification, and I think it was well accepted.
All right, now a question from the audience. We have a question from Amy.
Hi, Mr.
Hi, Amy.
Trump. Thank you for taking my question.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
My husband and I are hardworking middle-class folks, and every year it's tax season. I'm always shocked to see how much we pay into taxes every year.
Yeah.
I personally know people who have no jobs and no income who are getting $4,000 to $5,000 tax returns. How can this happen, and what are you going to do to create a tax system that is fair and balanced for everyone?
It's such a great question. So Larry Kudlow, Dr. Kudlow, who's a fantastic economist and a great guy, he loves my plan. A lot of people love my plan. We're giving the biggest tax increase of any big decrease, of any candidate running or has run. Like, it's not even close. In fact, the one criticism would be it's too much, because our middle class has been run out of town. They've been run out of the country. I mean, our jobs have been taken. Everything's been taken. And on top of it, our people are paying more tax than they've ever paid. We're the highest paid in terms of taxes. No country in the world has higher taxes than the United States, the highest in the world. So we're going to change all of it. I have a policy. It's on donaldjtrump.com. And it's a great tax plan. Your taxes are going way, way down, especially the middle class. And business is going way, way down. Highest taxed in the world. I think you're going to love it. And the other thing is, we're simplifying it. We're not only cutting it substantially, we're simplifying it. You're not going to have to go out and hire these firms, H&R Block, and pay a fortune to hire H&R Block, because it's so complicated you can't figure it out. Very simple, very few brackets. One of the things we're doing for business, which I think is very important, we have companies that are leaving the country because they can't bring money into the country. Not only are their taxes too high, but there are trillions of dollars outside of the country. You look at Pfizer is leaving now, and so many companies are leaving our country because they have money outside of the country. Everybody wants to let Democrats and Republicans, and they can't make a deal because you have a president that's not a leader. We're going to have all of this money is going to be allowed to come back in, and we're going to keep our companies in the United States. So important. But big tax reductions.
Does everybody get a tax break, even the very rich?
The very rich are going to be paying, well, first of all, on the very rich, let me explain. We have things in the very rich that are so unfair to the general public, especially the hedge funds guys, like carried interest and different provisions that are very complex that a lot of people wouldn't understand, but I'm getting rid of carried interest. And frankly, the ones that I'm really concerned about, I like the workers. I call them the workers of this country the best. I don't necessarily like the very rich, even though I'm one of the very rich. But the very rich are going to end up probably paying more, but there's an incentive for them to invest in the country and to create jobs.
All right, let me ask you about Washington. I'll let you take your caution. In order to change the tax code, to simplify it or to change it at all, you've got to get you've got to get Washington to work. And there's so much special interest built into this whole tax code. Every single one of the 3,300 exemptions, or how many there are, is a special interest of somebody. How are you going to get this to happen?
I get them to do it.
How?
I just get them to do it. I've been dealing with politicians all my life. If you can't deal with a politician, there's something wrong with you, okay? I built a great company, and as you know, I filed all my papers. They were all beautifully filed, and the press, all of your compatriots went down, and they said at the Federal Elections Office they've never seen it. It's like a feeding frenzy, because they were hoping maybe it wouldn't be so good. And it turned out it's not only good, much bigger than anyone would have thought. It's a phenomenal company, very low debt, very, very big.
But you think you can get Washington to work?
And I will tell you, yeah, and I just want to say, and the reason I'm doing it is because that's the kind of thinking. I'm not saying that in a bragging way. That's the kind of thinking our country needs. We have $19 trillion in debt, et cetera, et cetera. I deal with politicians. I was an establishment person, to be honest with you, 9 months ago before I decided to run. Once I decided to run, all of a sudden Trump was an establishment. The fact is, I get politicians to do what they're going to do. And it's not like they're bad people, but they have reasons for not doing it. And they're fighting each other. There's total gridlock in Washington. You have a president that has no control over his own party, let alone the Republicans. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to get them in a room and you're supposed to make good deals, not bad deals, great deals. That's what I can do.
All right, a question from the audience from Jamie.
Hi, Mr. Trump.
Hi.
Just curious, what are your thoughts on minimum wage and the Fight for 15 movement?
Okay, the minimum wage is a very, very complex situation because we are a non-competitive country. If you look at what's going on throughout the world, we're considered, and one of the big problems we have are wages. I am going to make our country so competitive that people at minimum wage are going to escape the minimum wage. They're going to go up, and they're going to make a lot of money, and they're going to have companies and be involved with companies that are really successful where they can be paid more and more money. But if you start raising that minimum wage, you're going to make a lot of our companies even more non-competitive, and it would be a big, big problem. But what I want to do is I want to bring jobs back. We're going to bring jobs back from China. We're going to bring jobs back from Mexico and Japan, and all of these countries that are ripping us off, taking our money, taking our jobs, knocking our manufacturing. In Wisconsin, you take a look. your manufacturing jobs in Wisconsin are way, way down. You know, I used to think wonderful things about Wisconsin. I was given a plaque by Governor Walker because I supported him. I gave him a lot of money. I supported him. But
He's not supporting you.
No, he's not. You know why? Because I knocked him out of the presidency in about 2 months. I mean, that's the only reason why. And you know how I knocked him out? And I was actually surprised. There was a story in Time magazine, and it was a very nice story. It was a cover story on him, and I've had many more than him lately. I've done very well. But I'll tell you, there was a story on him, and there was one paragraph toward the end that was a very bad paragraph. It talked about a deficit of $2.2 billion, an imbalance of the budget, $2.2 billion, and all sorts of bad things. The schools are in bad shape, the roads are in bad shape, the highways. I said, what is this all about? And when I looked at it, I said, wow, that's true. When I got up and started hitting him with information about Wisconsin, your jobs, your loss of trade, your loss of so much, all of a sudden, he went from being the front runner to saying, bye-bye, I'm getting out.
We have another question.
People don't know. I mean, people don't know the facts, but those are the facts. Okay.
We have another question. First of all, are you supporting Down, or should I ask?
I am an independent voter and
There-
intend to repeal Obamacare. Specifically, how would you address the mental health needs that our veterans have been, mental health needs that veterans have been clearly ignored?
Yeah, it's a huge question. I get the question all the time, especially regarding mental health for the veterans, because they've gone under trauma like nobody has seen trauma. So here's what we're doing. The veterans in our country have been treated horribly. I am endorsed by so many veterans groups. Nobody gets the veterans endorsements like that. Nobody close, as you know, because I'm sure most of your friends are endorsing me. We are going to change the VA. The VA is so badly run. First of all, it's corrupt. If you look at the Phoenix VA, that's one of the great of all time. It is so corrupt. It is so bad what's going on. But it's all over the country. Number one, we're changing the VA and we're going to make it good. But we're also going to give people, for instance yourself, if people are waiting online, you know this better than anybody, 5, 6, 7 days just to see a doctor. You know, there's suicides. We have so many suicides in the Veterans Administration, or from the veterans, so many suicides, Greta, and nobody's seen anything like it. It's almost like nobody even wants to talk about it. It's such a bad problem. And you know about the problem. And a lot of them takes place, they can't even get to see their doctor. When a person's waiting online for a certain period of time, they're going to have the right to go out, see a private doctor, or go to a hospital, private or public, that's in their community already. You know, some of the people have to travel for a day just to get to a veterans hospital. And it's a horrible situation. I know it so well. In New Hampshire, it really started. They endorsed me in New Hampshire. They have a tremendous veterans population in New Hampshire. I learned so much about the veterans and the veterans' problems from the people of New Hampshire. And I said, let me tell you, you put me in, we're going to solve the problem, and we're solving the problem. You're going to be able to go out, see a private doctor, or go to a hospital, public or private, and get yourselves taken care of, and we're going to pay the bill. Because we have to. We have to. And you know, in the end, it's going to be less expensive. But we're going to take care of it. You will see. Okay?
Is that the answer you wanted?
You'll be happy. Believe me. They should have done that a long time ago, Greta.
All right, well,
They should have done it a long time ago.
and we're going to be right back. We're bringing much more from our On the Records 2016 Town Hall with candidate frontrunner Donald Trump. That's next. Welcome back. Welcome back to On the Record's 1 hour town hall with presidential candidate Donald Trump. And we are coming to you from Milwaukee, where on Tuesday, Wisconsin voters will hit the polls. Let's get right back to their questions. Donald, you talked a moment ago about how important competition is.
Right.
In a President Trump administration, what would you do about the fact, for instance, Alaska Airlines is looking to purchase Virgin America, and we've had since the 1980s many fewer air carriers, and we're seeing less and less competition. What would your antitrust division be like?
Well, I don't like a lot of the mergers that I'm seeing because you're going to end up with one big fat airline, and you know that some of these airlines are not exactly running well. So I'd look at it very carefully. I'd look at a lot of that, and that might be not the Republican thing to say. But if we don't have competition and keep some competition, we're going to have a lot of problems in the country. And I see mergers of different things. I won't say it because what do I need certain industries against me for? But the fact is that you've got to have competition to be great. And when you see these big fat mergers and the companies get bigger, they get bloated, and they don't do well. They don't do well. They don't even do well for their stockholders. But all of a sudden, they don't have the competition. In the airline business, they have all these gates, and nobody else can get in. Nobody else can break the system. So I'd be very, very careful about that. I want to see competition at all levels.
Donald, we have a question from an audience member. Actually, first of all, who are you voting for on Tuesday? Will you tell us?
Well, let's see how he answers my question.
Very well, it's fair. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know how much you know about Wisconsin, but we have a lot to be proud of here. The beer, the cheese, the Packers. But
Right.
for me, the thing I'm most proud of is our university system. We are incredibly blessed to have amazing public universities.
I've heard that from many people.
In fact, we have to give our university a shout out. We were just awarded R1 or Research 1 status this year, which is a big deal. Yep. My question, as a doctoral student and as someone who teaches undergraduates, is we're of course very worried about the rising cost of education,
Right.
the ability of our students to be able to afford college tuition.
Right.
So several other candidates come out with their plans for lowering or even free education at the public university level. Do you have a plan? And if so, do you have a way of paying for that
Well, there's
plan?
no such thing as free education because you know that ultimately somebody else is going to be paying for that education, and it's the taxpayer. I can't believe I'm saying this as a politician. I'm not a politician, but as somebody that's now in politics, in the political world, I'd love to say free education. But again, if somebody gets free education, all of the people paying, their rates are going to go up. I watch Bernie, and if you took 100% of everybody, if their taxes were literally, if everything was paid in taxes, they made nothing, you wouldn't be able to pay what. So it's just words, okay? It's just words. But I get that question more than any single question, especially because I've gotten to know so many young people, and they're so incredible. And I go to colleges, we have packed houses, and the first question I get always is student debt, and also why is it so expensive? Two things are happening. The students become a conduit to the United States government, and the colleges are not watching their costs. They don't care. Because basically the students are here, the government gives them the money, and the college is here, and you take a look at the way college costs are rising, and there's no reason for it. They are letting them go up. And the problem is the students are getting crushed because, again, the government just keeps giving them more and more money, and the students give them to the college, so it's not fair. We're going to really look into that because we have to keep it down. We have to keep it down. Some of the colleges do a good job. Many of them, I don't think they even care what the costs are because they get so much money. We're going to do something for the students. We've got to have something with extensions and lower interest rates and a lot of good things, because if we don't do that, and Greta, it's unbelievable. I get this question so much and constantly, not even from students, from people that got crushed, because the students are getting crushed. But I'll tell you the best answer of all, I'm going to create jobs. And people say, what does that have to do with it? The biggest problem is you have student debt, and you're a good student, you went to a wonderful college, everything's great, and then you look for a job and you can't get a job. We're going to bring jobs back to this country. We're not going to let China, Japan, Mexico, all these countries, and I could name 40 of them, they take our jobs, they take our money. We're going to bring the jobs back here. We're going to keep our companies here. We're not going to let Pfizer and all these companies go. So when you go through, you do well, now you're going to look for a job and you're going to get a great job, the kind of job you want. That's the most important. But we're going to do something with extensions and low interest rates, okay? Thank you.
And we have more questions for Donald Trump. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with our On the Record 2016 Town Hall. Our special On the Record 2016 Town Hall with GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump. Donald Trump is hoping for another big day this coming Tuesday. Of course, that's the day that the voters of the great state of Wisconsin will hit the polls. Donald, I want to ask you about North Korea and nuclear weapons. And I heard you the other day say that you would not give, you did, when we asked about South Korea and Japan having the possibility of nuclear weapons as a deterrence to North Korea, I wonder if that might not spark a large nuclear arms race, number one. And number two, do you worry that the odds of terrorist groups then getting access to nuclear arms is greatly enhanced unless we prevent South Korea and Japan from getting nuclear weapons?
Well, I worry about that anyway. And the best thing you can do is knock the hell out of ISIS really fast and really furious and get rid of it, because this is a threat. Can you imagine our great generals like General George Patton and General MacArthur not being able to handle ISIS? I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. So we're going to knock out ISIS. We're going to make our military bigger, better, stronger than ever before. It's the cheapest thing we can do. and nobody's going to mess with us. But let me tell you, Greta, I was, they take little segments. I gave an answer to a show, and they were talking about NATO. And I gave a great answer. It turned out to be a great answer. For 2 days I took, and then all of a sudden all of the great analysts said, Trump is right about that. I said, it's obsolete, and I said, it's too expensive for the United States.
So nuclear weapons in Japan and South Korea are not?
But this whole thing. I said, it's obsolete. And all of a sudden the experts said, we never thought of it that way because it's not really focused on terrorism, which is a big problem that we have now. We have to go to Japan and to Germany and to South Korea and to Saudi Arabia, where they have money like nobody's ever seen money before. We defend all these countries. We're not properly reimbursed for the kind of money that we're spending. We're spending so much money. We're defending the world. We're like the policemen to the world. We're defending Japan as an example. And I said it very strongly.
And they pay $2 billion for it a year.
But that's peanuts compared to what we're doing. It's wonderful. They're paying $2 billion, but what difference does that make? It's peanuts compared to what they're doing. So I said, I used Japan as an example. They're sending us cars by the millions. They're making a fortune off us. I mean, like everybody else. Who doesn't? Everybody makes a fortune because we have the worst trade deals ever negotiated ever in the world, okay? So we go to Japan. We go to the others also, but we go to Japan and say, listen, you got to pay more. We want to defend you. I don't really want them to have nukes. I don't want them to defend themselves. But look, at some point, we can't continue to do this. We can't continue. We have $19 trillion in debt because of the horrible omnibus budget that was just approved. It's going to be $21 trillion very soon. We go to Japan, we go to these countries, and we make better deals. But you have to be prepared to walk. It's possible they'll have to defend themselves, but we cannot spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on defending all of these countries that have plenty of money to defend themselves. They view us as people that are not very smart. No, but they never put that in. They always say, Trump wants Japan to, go nuclear. I don't. I really don't. But listen, when you have North Korea and you have Japan, and they're very close to each other, and frankly, we're sort of semi-involved. We don't want to be involved. At some point, it could happen anyway. But I want them to pay. And this is true for all countries. Saudi Arabia was making $1 billion a day. $1 billion a day. And they make a little bit less because the oil prices are down. Don't worry about them. They have more money than, you've never seen money like this. If something goes wrong, we're defending Saudi Arabia. I want to be reimbursed. I'm going to Saudi Arabia. I want to be reimbursed. Nobody in the media ever says that. They never say that.
All right, well, Patrick has a question for you. Patrick, first of all, have you decided who you're voting for on Tuesday?
I'm swayed Trump, but I'm here today to figure that out.
Good. All right. Well,
your question.
So you're close.
One, I'm a criminal justice major here at UWM.
Good.
And I'm a proud brother of a police officer in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Joe Meath.
Good.
My question today for you, Mr. Trump. America seems to be caught in the middle of a political storm with passions flaring from coast to coast. But I think one thing we can all agree on is the safety of every American, both abroad and at home. On August 19th, 2014, an American journalist named James Foley, a Marquette grad in town, lost his life to the hand of evil. If you were to become president, what would you do to ensure the safety of everyone at home, everyone abroad, and those still missing, like Robert Levinson, who's been missing since 2007, with little known whereabouts?
Come back with the Iran deal. Assuming he's alive, and I'm sure
I would have made that deal too.
Right. It's one of the worst deals ever negotiated. And did you see Obama yesterday said he's very disappointed in Iran, or something to the effect. I said, where has he been? I could have told them that long before they signed the deal. One of the dumbest deals I've ever seen. And he should have been a part of the deal. When they brought the prisoners back, they paid $150 billion. Those prisoners should have been back years ago before we ever started negotiating that very dumb deal. Let me just tell you, James Foley, I know his parents very well. I've made a major contribution to the foundation in honor of James Foley. I know exactly what happened, and it's a disgrace that a thing like that's allowed to happen. We have to stop that. We have to stop it with ferocity, and it has to go back. We're dealing like in the medieval times. When I was going to history class, when I was going to great schools like this, would study medieval times, and they talk about chopping off heads. Nobody's seen this before. This is like a new thing. James Foley seems to be the first in terms of so public, where it was so horribly done, and people saw it. We're going to get it stopped. Now, remember this, the Border Patrol. If you look at Sheriff Joe from Arizona, the toughest, smartest people are supporting and endorsing Donald Trump. The toughest and the smartest. We've got to create strong borders. We've also got to fight them over there before they come over here, just so you understand. But coming over, number one, we're going to have strong borders. But we're going to have a very important thing. The Syrians coming in, the migration coming in, we have to stop it because we don't know who these people are. They're not documented. There's no documentation from any of them whatsoever. We don't know. Are they ISIS related? And thousands of them are coming in. And I predicted that. Thousands and thousands are coming in. We have no idea who many of these people are. So we've got to get strong, we've got to get smart, and we've got to be vigilant. And in honor of James Foley and others, we have to be very tough and wipe out what's happening. Okay?
And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more questions for presidential candidate Donald Trump. Beyond the Record 2016 Town Hall continues next. Welcome back to Milwaukee for our On the Record 2016 Town Hall with Donald Trump. And right now, let's get right back to the questions from our audience. Donald, a question from Eric. Eric, first of all, have you decided who you're going to vote for?
I'm leaning towards the Ohio governor, John Kasich,
That's a mistake.
but according to one of your opponents, that's like voting for you. So
No, I actually think he hurts me more than he hurts Cruz, if you want to know the truth. And,
Well,
frankly, Kasich right now he's got 1 win and 29 losses. And he shouldn't even be in it, but that's okay. Go ahead, ask your question.
welcome back to Milwaukee. When you were here Tuesday evening, you attracted protesters who claimed that you were anti-immigration.
Yeah.
I have not heard you say anything that could be interpreted as such. Instead, I think what you're
right.
saying is that you'd like the immigration laws that are currently in place to be enforced. So if you could please articulate what you would do as president to ensure American citizens are getting the jobs that are currently going to people who are in this country legally.
Okay, good. It's a great question, actually. Look, I am totally in favor of immigration, but people that come in have to come in legally. Right now, they're pouring across the border. It's like Swiss cheese. We're going to build a wall. Mexico is going to pay for the wall. We have a trade deficit of $58 billion a year with Mexico. The wall is going to cost $10 billion or something right around that number. And when I give numbers, I come in, believe me, like I'm building the old post office where you were, under budget, ahead of schedule. The wall will cost, let's say, $10 billion. When you have a deficit with a country, Mexico in this case, of $58 billion a year, it's very easy to say, the politicians always say, oh, you can't get Mexico to pay. It'll be so easy. But more importantly, I will tell you, I love the question. I want people to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. Okay? Thank you.
Well, and as a follow-up, you talked about your tax plan earlier. Could you make sure that those incentives for the businesses don't go to them if they are employing people who should not be here?
Well, and not only that, right now the incentives go to other countries because as you know, what happens is Mexico, you look at carriers going there, so many companies, they're all going out to Mexico. We have nobody in our country to stop them. I just wonder, does anybody even call when they hear that Carrier or Nabisco or Ford or so many other companies are going to Mexico? Do we have anybody in our country that says, hey, I want to speak to you, I want to come down with a delegation, we want to keep you here? Believe me, when I get involved, they're not leaving.
All right.
They're not leaving.
We'll take a quick break. Our conversation with 2016 GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump continues in just moments. Welcome back to Milwaukee. And we're coming to you with the On the Record 2016 Town Hall with Donald Trump. And now let's get right back to the audience questions with Andrew. Andrew, you have a question, but first of all, do you know who you're going to vote for Tuesday?
I'm leaning towards Mr. Trump.
Oh, I love it. And the young man talking about the policeman, he just said he's voting for Trump. So now.
All right, your question.
Okay, so my question involves the drug problem in America today.
Right.
In particular, the heroin epidemic.
Right.
I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I do a lot of work with the state public defender's office. So I see every day people that have huge problems. Their lives are ruined by drugs, in particular heroin. I see people that are on long waiting lists to even get into treatment. What would you do to help this drug epidemic in America?
I just love the question. So what happened is I'm in New Hampshire, and I see these beautiful fields and trees and roadways and country, and I fell in love with the place. And I won in a landslide. What happened is I'd go to these town meetings, and I'd talk to the people, and I'd say, what's your biggest problem? And they'd always say heroin. And I'd say, heroin? It didn't seem to work with New Hampshire. It's an unbelievable problem that we have all over this country. And in New Hampshire, it seems to be worse than any place. But
You'll do what?
and we are going to stop it. It's coming through the southern border. We're going to stop it. That's part of the reason for the wall. That's part of the reason where the Border Patrol is going to be given back their authority. You know why they endorsed me? Because they want to do their job. They've never endorsed a presidential candidate before. They want to do their job. I'm going to let them do their job. They can stop it. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call the leaders of Mexico, in particular one person. I'm going to say, don't let this happen anymore, folks. Don't let this happen, because Mexico could stop it also. They could stop at the border. Do you know, you want to become a citizen of Mexico, it's impossible. You want to become a citizen of the United States, have your baby on the ground. I mean, give me a break. What's going on with our country and the stupidity of our leadership, I'm going to tell Mexico, you better not let it happen. You know, they're very good at defending themselves. They're not good at defending our border because they don't want to defend our border. So we're going to do that. But we're going to have a wall. We're going to let the Border Patrol, who are unbelievable, 16,500 people endorsed me. That's a lot. And we're going to let these people do their job. Greta, they want to do their job so badly. And they're told to stand back, don't do anything, let everybody come in. And I'm doing it for all over. But the people of New Hampshire, I said to them, if I win, and I owe them so much because that was my first real victory. I said, if I win, I'm going to stop it. You watch what happens, okay? Great question.
And coming up, some closing thoughts from the On the Record town hall with Donald Trump in Milwaukee. It's straight ahead. Presidential candidate Donald Trump. Donald, in the event that you win the nomination, you get the 1,237 delegates, do you think you're going to get Governor Jeb Bush, Carly Fiorina, and Senator Marco Rubio to actively go on the trail and campaign for you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm a realist. I understand. I'm not a huge believer in endorsements, although I've had some that had a huge impact. You look at Massachusetts and other places, I got some great endorsements and some great statements, and I did like 50%, and there are some, but generally speaking, I don't know. Look, I hit them very hard. They hit me very hard, honestly. I hit them really hard. I don't know that they're going to endorse me, and you know what, honestly, I don't want to put any pressure on them. If they don't feel like it, they don't have to. Frankly, I told Ted Cruz, I think Ted Cruz would be a terrible president. I told Ted Cruz the other day, I said, he doesn't have to endorse me. I don't want him to be under any pressure. Don't endorse me. It's not going to have any impact. The people know what's going on. You know, I've been watching the politicians. They said, if we get the House, it's going to be different. We got the House, nothing happened. If we get the Senate, it's going to be different. Now we have the House and the Senate, nothing's different. I know politicians. The endorsements don't mean anything. The only thing that means anything are the people.
Is Wisconsin, if you don't win Wisconsin, can you get the 1,237 delegates?
Yes, I think I can, because the polls just came out in New York, where they really know me best. I mean, the nice thing about it, you saw the New York polls, I'm through the roof. The people that know me best are giving me these fantastic, I mean, they deal with me. They've had to live with me, unfortunately for them. But the truth is, the people that know me best have me, Pennsylvania's been great, New York's been great, New Jersey's been great.
And I've got to thank you for coming to my home state of Wisconsin. Thank you, Donald. Very nice to see you. Anyway, thank you very much, Donald Trump, for joining us for our 2016 Town Hall. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow night, right here at 7 p.m. Eastern. Good night from Milwaukee.
If we were in this room 10 years ago, not a long time, and somebody jumped up and said, you know, Bernie, I think that gay marriage will be legal in 50 states in this country, person next to them would have said, you're crazy. That can't happen. That will never happen. And yet in 2015, it happened. And it happened. It happened because the gay community and their straight allies stood up, fought back, and said that people in this country should have the right to love whoever they
They stood up and they took it up the ass and they sexed each other assholes and they ate their poop.
real change takes place, how you can defeat the status. We were here 5 years ago, no time at all. Somebody jumps up and says, you know, Bernie, I think the $7.25 an hour federal minimum wage is a starvation wage.
New Jersey, which is going to have the Women's U.S. Open next year and going to have the PGA Championship. And his name is Jim Herman. You heard about Jim Herman. So Jim Herman just won the... It doesn't even dent the trucks. You know, it's no dent. Maybe a little paint comes off the fender. It's ridiculous, folks. It's so ridiculous. This is a real wall. See that ceiling? That ceiling is peanuts compared to the height of the wall. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Look at all those signs. Melania, she's coming tomorrow. My wife is coming tomorrow. She's already on her way. Look, wow. Melania for First Lady. She'll be a great First Lady, I want to tell you. That will be a great First Lady. Wow, thank you. Look at all those beautiful signs. Wow. And they're not like the phony signs, but you know, the protesters, they have these signs that come right out of factories about Trump and this and that, and they come like right out of factories. Those signs were made with love. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. But I'll tell you, it's been an amazing experience. Wisconsin is going to be such a big surprise on Tuesday. We are doing so well. We are doing so well. I just did Greta, who was terrific on Fox, and tomorrow night we're doing Hannity, Sean Hannity, who's fantastic. And we're doing a lot of shows. And frankly, I'll tell you, the hardest part politically, such lies. So today, I have to give you this story, because to me I think it's really one of the worst. So in Florida, I wasn't expected to win because I'm running against a senator. Initially, a senator, sitting Senator Young, they called him the face of the Republican Party. He's a nice guy, okay, Marco. And they're running against Jeb Bush, right? Jeb Bush. So they set the rules that whoever wins Florida gets 100% of the delegates. Because they figured one of those two would win. Actually, it was done for Jeb, because Marco wasn't supposed to run, because Jeb was running, and Marco, you know, Jeb was his mentor, but he ran. Remember I said they hate each other, and everyone said, no, they don't, they're very close friends? I said, they hate each other. Turned out they hated each other. I'm right about this stuff. I'm very good at it, believe me. But anyway, but they said it because they thought Jeb would easily win Florida, and he'd get 100% of the delegates. So they said it so that Jeb would get 100%. Or that Marco would get. In other words, one of the two establishment guys would get 100%, 99 delegates. And then I came along. Oh, did I destroy this? Oh. And the first poll that came out, it was like Trump 44%. And Jeb was at 12%, and Marco was at like 14%. They said, what do we do? What do we do? We got to change it. This is no good. Trump will get all 99 delegates. It wasn't supposed to work. Let me tell you, this politics stuff, folks, it's so crooked. It's so crooked. So they thought about changing it back. Maybe we can change it back. This wasn't supposed to happen. And anyway, so as you know, a few weeks ago, I won the state of Florida, which I love. And I don't mean won it by like a little bit. It was a blowout. It was a huge landslide. Won it by 20 points. Won it by almost 20 points. It was shocking. And we pick up 99 delegates. So I say to all of those crooked politicians that said it, so that they said it so Trump would get heard, thank you very much, folks. We appreciate it, right? Terrible. But I'll tell you what's so bad. A couple of things, which is interesting. So, commercials. I turned on television, and during Florida, when I was there 4 weeks ago, I have never seen so many negative ads. And in fact, I saw on one of the stations.
The people of West Dallas reject you. They reject you.
Get out of here, please. Get out of here. Get out of here. This is what our country is fighting, folks. This is what we're fighting, guys like that, you know. It's really sad. It's really sad. No, it's really sad when you think of it. So what happened is in Florida, we had so many negative commercials, all paid for by special interests and lobbyists, because they want guys like Cruz to win, and they want guys like, you know, all of them. Kasich. Kasich is now 1 for 30. Is it 1 for 30 or 1 for 29? He's 1 for 30. It's good if he gets out. I don't want him in. I don't want him in. Why are you in? Because frankly, if it were the case of he's now won one state barely, and if I would have campaigned there 2 more days, I didn't want to leave Florida because I wanted to make sure I won. In retrospect, I should have left Florida a day early. I would have won Ohio. But here's a guy. And everyone says he's such a nice guy. He's not a nice guy. You remember the first debates? He came at me so strong. I said, wait a minute. You were a managing director of Lehman Brothers, which almost took the entire economy down. Okay, give me a break. He's not a nice guy. He's a nasty guy. You want to know the truth. But remember he came and I hit him really hard? Twice, 2 debates in a row. Then after that he shut up. And then he'd watch everyone else argue. And nobody cared about him. So he used to say, well, I'm the grown-up in the house. That was a nice excuse, but nobody cared about him. And to be honest, in all fairness to Jeb and Marco and Rand Paul and everyone, they could have done the same thing. They could have just stayed from week to week to week to week. And the problem is, he's in the way of me, not Cruz. He hurts me more than he hurts Cruz. I'm going to New York. We have a phenomenal poll in New York that just came out. I'm winning by 30-something points. Remember this. By many, many points. And the problem is I get both of them, right? Now, if I didn't have Kasich, I automatically win. All I have to do is win, because if I get 50%, lots of good things happen, right? So I'm way over 50%. But with Kasich, it's harder. And he shouldn't be in. And let me tell you, if he wants to get to the convention, that's okay. Go to the convention and announce you want to be president. But you shouldn't be littering up the process, because that's what he's doing. It's really a disgrace, I'll tell you. And if he's doing it, and I mean this, if he's doing it, then Marco and all of these other guys should have just stayed in and just kept all these people in. It's really not fair. He's 1 and 29 or 30 or something ridiculous. I think it's even worse than that. He's won 1 and it's a home state. So that's what I have to say. He also, remember this, I'm just going to do him quickly because he's not a factor, but it's not right. Remember this, he voted for NAFTA. He's in favor of TPP, which is going to destroy Wisconsin. TPP is going to destroy, so that's on Kasich. Cruz is totally in favor of TPP. Not only is he in favor of it, he doesn't want to talk about monetary manipulation. He doesn't want to talk about devaluation of currencies. That's how they kill us, folks. That's how we're being killed. That's how our business are being taken away like candy from a baby. They manipulate the currencies like great chess masters. They manipulate the price. They take their currencies and they devalue it so brilliantly. And because we have no leader in this country, he allows them to get away with it. And by the way, I have to interject. Do you notice I don't use teleprompters? Although I used one for the big speech and everybody loved it. Everybody loved it, but it's too easy. No, using teleprompters is too easy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much. It's wonderful to be in Wisconsin. It's really wonderful. We're having a great time. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, your economy is totally overrated. You're in the middle of the pack. You're not doing very well. And you're losing your jobs. Oh, that's too easy. But it's one of those things. Ivanka called. She said, Dad, be presidential. I said, let me get rid of the other 2 and then I'll be presidential, okay? Right? But I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this. Look, we have such a big thing because honestly, hey, look, I have a lot of friends in Wisconsin, and they'll come into New York, and I love them. They're unbelievable people. They're strong, smart, great. They're great people. And they told me like 3-4 months ago, they said, you're going to do great in Wisconsin. But they said, you have to come there and talk. Like, you have to come. You can't do it from Fifth Avenue, right? I said, I don't mind. And I was supposed to leave 3 days ago. I said, I'm not leaving. I love this place. This place is great. No, it's great. I was watching the news before, and they were showing the lines outside. You know, we have thousands of people that couldn't get in, folks, okay? If anybody wants to give up their seat, get out of here, and somebody will. But we have, and last night, we had at least 5,000 people that couldn't get in. And tomorrow, I'm doing 2 biggies. I think we're doing a 6,000 and like a 15,000. And it's going to be amazing. The problem is we can't get bigger auditoriums. It's hard to get big auditoriums around here, but they're packed. Every one of them has been packed. The response has been unbelievable. But I have to tell you, so in Florida, I was getting all these negative ads. And you probably heard, you know, I own Doral. It's called Trump National Doral. It's beautiful, brand new, beautiful. I blew it up and rebuilt it, and they have a big, big tournament. And the tournament at Doral was won by the great Adam Scott, who's a fantastic player. And he wins the tournament, hits this great shot, and they go to commercial. I said, oh, no, don't go to commercial. Trump ad, but only negative ads, right? Horrible ads, 90% untrue, a little bit of it true, I've been in office, a little kernel, a little bit, not too much, but these horrible ads. And I said, oh, don't do this. So Adam Scott sinks the putt. Now we'll go to commercial, and then we'll present the trophy to Adam Scott. I said, turn off all the televisions on the green. Turn them off. I have never seen so many bad, horrible, negative commercials in Florida. So then they did a thing the other day, I watched it on Fox, where they had, I think they said 58 or 68,000 commercials. Did you see it? And they spent like $57 million. It was even more than that. 57 million, all negative commercials. How would you like to have 58,000? I didn't even know it could be that much. I knew it was a lot because I couldn't turn on television. But thousands and thousands of negative ads fall. So I want to tell you a story. So I see today, I'm in the hotel and I'm getting ready to come over here, and I see this commercial, and it's a total lie. It's named Club for Growth, and we put them on notice. We said, you lied. Did you see it, where they have the bar charts? And they said, basically, that if Cruz and Kasich, if you took their delegates and added them up, and they have Trump with 738, and we just won Missouri, by the way, so we can add some more. But they have this bar chart, I think it's like 737, and then they have Cruz at 300 and something, and have Kasich is not much, you know, really just the state of Ohio, which is what he won. What is it, 130? So they added them up. So it's way below my number, right? You saw the commercial. They're really bad people, so let me share. So I have a chart here, and then they say, but if you added them up, it's more than Donald Trump. And I said, wait a minute. If you add them up, it's substantially less, but they show my line, and now they show a line that's much more. Now it's a lie in 2 ways. Number one, they added incorrectly. So we put them on notice and told them to change it, right? The media put them on notice, because there's been many stories about it, that it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a pure outright fraud. But more importantly than that, let's say Kasich or the other one got out. Many of those people are coming to me. So it's not like they just take them and say, let's add this one and this one above. I'm going to get a lot of them. When Jeb Bush dropped out, people said, wow, I went up a lot because I'm doing great. I'm way up high. In fact, NBC came out with a poll 2-3 days ago where I'm at 48 compared to like in the 20s for them. And I said, you know, and I have another one that came out just 2 days ago. We're at 53. That's with other people in the race. That's pretty good. But what happens, think of how horrible, that Club for Growth, you know, they act like they're innocent babies. So they take these two numbers, they add them up, and they show a bar chart that's much higher than mine. And it's much lower, because if you add them up, it's still much less than I have. And they didn't change it, and they don't want to change it because they're dishonest people. But let me give you much worse. I never heard of the Club for Growth. A friend of mine calls me, says, would you do me a favor? Would you see the Club for Growth? I said, what's that? I said, what are they? Who are they? I'm doing the guy a favor. He's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. I like to do friends favors, you know. Stupidly, I like to do friends favors. So he said, oh, they're a conservative group. And then, okay, so I thought, let him come in. This guy comes in, an ex-congressman, which tells you immediately a lot about him. And he starts telling me about Club for Growth. I said, do me a favor, I don't have a lot of time. Just like, can you do it like in 1 minute? So he tells me about Club for Growth. I said, fine. He asked me for $1 million. I said, $1 million. I said, let me ask you, do I look like a stupid person? I don't even know what you are. I never heard of you. Who are you? For $1 million. I mean, how about like 5,000? Okay? But no, he wants $1 million. Then he leaves, and I was very nice to him, but he leaves, and I get a letter like the following week from the Club for Growth.
I gotta pee, guys.
Asking me for $1 million in a thing where he asked me for $1 million, right? I tell them very nicely, no thank you. I'd rather take the money and throw it out to this audience. Give it to the kids. Really? No, really. You know, you may be rich, but we don't have to be stupid, right? And I just don't like to be taken advantage of, right? So he figured, oh, well. And now I have an enemy. And I see today ads from the Club for Growth. And this phony ad where the numbers were added up purposely wrong. Should I sue them for that? Is there a lawsuit there? What? Don't you think so? I mean, maybe there's a lawsuit. That's disgusting. No, it's disgusting. No, they're dishonest people. So I see these ads, and it says Club for Growth, Club for Growth, Club for Growth. Just remember, folks, when you turn on those televisions and you see negative ads against me, they're crooked people. They're dishonest people. They want to keep Cruz going because he accepts money from all of them, campaign money, PAC money. I see where he's having an event tonight where they don't have very many people showing up, by the way. Who cares about him? But they're having an event tonight, okay? They're having an event. And they said it's paid for by his PAC. What's that? It's not supposed to be paid for by his PAC. He's supposed to pay for it himself. It's paid for out of his PAC. Number one, that's illegal, I think. But the PAC isn't supposed to be having events. They're supposed to pay with money they raise the old-fashioned way, the hard way, right? And the news announcer said, yes, Ted Cruz, they didn't say anything was wrong with it. I know something's wrong with it. In fact, why don't you writers write that? Ted Cruz, these are the most dishonest. They make Ted Cruz look like a baby, these guys. Why don't you write that? Why don't you write that Ted Cruz's event tonight was paid for by his PAC? Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get that fucking poo-poo supporter.
Get him out. Isn't it fun to be at a Trump rally? Is this great? Is this great? Honestly, they're lost. Kids like that are just lost. They're really lost. In a way, lost souls. You know, it's sad. I mean, it's sad. But anyway. It's sad. So they have this thing, and it's held by a PAC. And, you know, I think it's really sad. Just so you understand. The politicians are all talk, no action. It's not going to happen. Ted Cruz never hired a person in his life. He doesn't know about jobs. He sees the kind of numbers I'm getting, where we're getting these massive numbers. Pennsylvania through the roof. New York through the roof. I was going to tell you before we were interrupted. In New York, it's really nice when the people that know you best have you way, way, way ahead, where you have a 30-some-odd point lead. 30-some-odd point. Which means I don't even think they contest it. But these are people that have known me for many, many years, okay? So this isn't like, you know, you go to a state where they really don't know you very well and you have to sort of convince them who you are. I mean, boy, do they know me in New York. And they're tough, and they're smart, and they know Trump. And it's something nice when they know you in New York. They know you in New York, and you have the kind of numbers that you have, which are through the roof. Nobody's seen numbers like that. So I think it's just a great compliment, and I want to thank the people of New York. I want to thank them, okay? Also Pennsylvania. Big in Pennsylvania. So look, I want you to see, and I didn't do a fancy job, because why should I, right? Why should I? You all know it's true. We don't need fancy stuff. You know, it's funny. A lot of people spend tremendous amounts of money, tremendous amounts. And I've spent a lot of money. I'm up to close to $40 million. I'm self-funding my own campaign, by the way, folks. I'm self-funding. I don't think I get anything out of it. You know, I came this morning, we're driving, and I said, I'm looking at some numbers quickly. I said, look, we're going to make America great again. That's what the key is. But I said to my people, I said, I don't think I get any benefit by self-funding. In other words, nobody goes to the polling booth and they say, I'm going to vote for Trump because he's self-funding, meaning he's not paid off, meaning he's not bought by oil and gas, by the banks. I'm not bought by anybody. I'm bought by you. I'm bought by you. And I said to my people, you know, for the little bit of a voting benefit I get, I don't think it's, I really mean this. I think for the kind of money, I'll be in for a lot more than that. But but it's a lot. But there's something nice, like I went to New Hampshire. I was in for $2 million. Another person, let's not mention names, was in for $48 million.